SEC Media Days have begun. Greg Sankey. And again, every day this week, it's all SEC, nothing but SEC. And here to help me look at SEC 2026, joining me on the D4 Land Services hotline, Brett Ciancia. He's with Pick Six Previews. He's hung out with me before. And, well, his magazine, if you're a college football fan, I think it's a must part of any college football season. Brett, how's your universe? Dude, what have you been up to besides, like, busting your butt to get the magazine out?
Yeah, Louis, thanks for having me, man. It's a crazy time of year here with Pick Six Previews, the annual preview magazine published, coming off the printing press, shipping out all week last week, all week this week. So very hectic, but yeah, it's been a never-ending research project, I call it, because really with all the transfers, the biggest coaching carousel we've ever seen, I've hunkered down for 7 months writing and editing this thing. So I'm really excited about the 26th edition and then, of course, the upcoming season. But, yeah, excited to break it down with you.
How hard is it to project each season when you have a team like LSU that brought in 60-plus new players, or many programs that bring in 40-plus? Because in the olden days, returning starters, the fewer freshmen you play, I think it used to be, holy cow, right? It used to be, I think, easier to have a smaller window of projection, but the turnover rate, and it's so easier to acquire talent now. How hard is it, or is it at all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's gotten 10 times, 100 times harder to do this every year just on the sheer amount of transfers. I mean, you're looking at 2,000 transfer players across the country. And a lot of these are key players. These aren't just backups or reserves. I mean, these are star players, all-conference players. I launched this thing back in 2012, Pick Six Previews, and I look back at my first edition. I had a little tiny section in the book called the transfers, and there was like 30 names. That was it in the whole country. I thought that was a cool feature at the time. Now it's just like commonplace. There's thousands of them. So that has really changed it. It's made it a lot more intense, but I think that's actually a better product for the reader because it's impossible to keep up to date with even your own team, let alone the whole conference. So that's why a publication like this will get you up to speed. Very easy, readable terms, but gets you caught up. You're right about LSU. I think it's the most volatile team in the country in terms of outcomes. They could go perfect 16-0, or they could go 6-6. I mean, it is really a wild card type team this year with the 50 new transfers coming in, the Kiffin experiment. So, yeah, there are some very variable teams out there that go transfer heavy.
Yes, and you say, I think LSU is the most because of the 60-something. And you have a coach who I think has made his bones on the portal, who knows how to blend that much new, because he did it at Ole Miss. It's how he built the entire program there. And kind of almost every year, it wasn't 60-plus, but every year was almost a reset for him. So he knows how to play this game.
Yeah, and if there's anybody that's capable of doing this, it's him. It's Lane Kiffin. He calls himself the Portal King, and he has backed that up every single cycle. Top 5 transfers every year at Ole Miss, and now, again, the number 1 transfer haul at LSU. If there's anybody that can do it, it's him. All that to say, I still have LSU right outside my playoff projection there at 12th in the country, 5th in the SEC. It's going to come down to how quickly they can get the scheme installed with a new quarterback, Sam Leavitt. He missed spring with an injury. We'll see if that comes back to haunt them. But offensive line looks brand new. They bring a lot of defenders in, a couple big ones from Ole Miss. So, I mean, I like what they have on paper. If you like the mock NFL drafts, I know we're a little early in the cycle of that, but looking ahead to 27's draft, they're number 1 in the country with mock NFL draft picks, 14 of them. So the talent is undeniable, but it's a matter of how quickly can they get this 50 transfers all integrated into the same locker room, same schemes. So it's very variable, but I've got them close.
14 players drafted from this LSU team. That is an insane talent level for them. Let's go Texas A&M. I could ask you a million questions. I'm just going to punt it to you and get kind of your opening concept thought, Pick Six Previews, you personally, how you view A&M heading into the 2026 season.
Yeah, well, of course, I always like to start looking back, and with 2025, really impressive year. A&M jumped out to 11-0 start. Of course, they did come up a little short in the fourth quarter against Texas, but a phenomenal season. Really took them to the next level. I think it was a huge win for Coach Elko to get them to the playoff bracket. I know they lost to Miami, but really they were waiting for that playoff ticket for 10-plus years. So great season. And you bring back a lot of what made it special. You bring back Marcel Reed. People forget that he was in the Heisman discussion deep into November last year. I know he had a rough fourth quarter against Texas, but really a solid season, top 5 in the SEC in all my key numbers, quarterback rating, even some rushing yards he got involved in. So I like Reed a lot at quarterback. Love the running backs, love the offensive line. So here's my big concern with A&M this year is looking at lines of scrimmage, because they were perfectly stout, both O-line and D-line last year. You lose 7 of those 9 starters, 5 O-line, 4 D-line. 7 of 9 are gone. Normally I'd throw that team out of the top 25, but they did really well reloading from the transfer portal on both lines of scrimmage. 4 SEC starting linemen on the offensive side coming in with a bunch of career starts. And then defensive line, Anto Saka, again, talking NFL draft, he's a top 10 draft pick projection. So normally I'd throw them out of the mix, but with this reload and their recruiting profile, I've got them still in SEC contention. I've got them 13th overall, just outside the playoff bracket.
I know, because I was lucky. You sent me a copy. Could not thank you enough of Pick 6 previews. You mentioned the double line questions, but also for you, a double coordinator switch. You putting A&M at 13, some people are going to be like, oh, that's too low, and he doesn't believe in the Aggies. No. You putting him 13, using everything that Pick 6 previews has done, and you're amazing with your projections. Over the years, you've been proven right so often. Putting him at 13 took a lot for you, using all the factors and indicators you've used over the year.
Yeah, well, thank you. With the accuracy title, I'm very proud of that. I mean, it's I have the 10-year prediction accuracy amongst the preview magazines. It's by Stats.com. They grade all of us, so that's a point of pride. But yeah, with A&M this year, keeping them up in the top 15, I think is fair. A lot of folks will drop them deeper than that and throw them out of the mix, but when you recruit at a top 10 clip every year, and when you bring in top 10 transfer hauls every year, and when you have a great head coach, proven head coach like Coach Elko, who has shown he can make great coordinator hires, like it's all there. You have a returning quarterback who dazzled most of the season. And I know there's concern at receiver where you lose Casey Concepcion, but Craver's back, and then they stole a starter off Alabama's team too. So, I really like this team. It's just such a crowded conference where you have some surefire playoff picks like Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma. Even I have Ole Miss going back to the bracket. So it is really competitive at the top of the SEC. I have 8 teams that could qualify for the playoff. So put it this way, if you threw A&M over in the Big 12 or the ACC, they'd be a playoff lock. They'd be like 11-1 and a surefire pick.
It's interesting, too, the schedule. I'm a schedule junkie. I believe that's one of the hidden parts of we'll say the second half of the college football playoff, looking at it, where you drew the bad schedule, you drew the good schedule. I know heading into last year, A&M's schedule looked brutal, and then in the end, it broke their way. This year, heading into, it looks nasty. They play 5 of the top 8 teams in the SEC. Of course, we'll see how it plays out, but they drew a rough schedule this year.
Yeah, they certainly did, and you're right about how it looked last year. If you look back, they ended up facing 7 of the bottom 9 SEC teams. So 7 of the bottom 9, that now flips to playing 5 of the top 8. So it really heats up. Of course, in the non-con, you take Notre Dame off, and that was a huge win for A&M last year in terms of playoff positioning and just a statement victory for Coach Elko. But you take Notre Dame out of there and replace it with Arizona State. I think that's a downgrade. I think they'll be fine against Arizona State with it being in College Station. So, but SEC-wise, certainly heats up. And that's really a theme across the conference now, going from 8 games to 9 games. It's just math. It's just another round of games you're playing each other and another round of losses being dealt out. So I can already hear the debates coming, Louis. I can hear those November talks about which 9-3 resume is better than the other 9-3 resumes, because you're going to be stacking a lot of Big Ten and SEC resumes of 9-3 teams. So it's going to be tough to stand out this year.
Okay. I don't want to sidetrack us, but I think the 9-game schedule is a mistake. There was no concession given to the College Football Playoff Committee saying, oh yeah, 9 SEC games is equal to 12 Big 12 games. It was just done having faith, and that's a mistake in the modern college football, college athletic universe.
I agree with you 100%. It was a self-inflicted error by the SEC, which is rare because usually they're on the front edge of all these decisions. They seem to be they always have the ace card. And here's how you know it's not going to help them, because let's look back to last year where the Big Ten was coming off back-to-back national championships, and they had the 9-game conference schedule while the SEC had the 8. and the Big Ten beat each other up. There was a lot of 9-3s at the end of the year. There was no preferential treatment given there that they had their extra conference game, their challenging schedules, their defending champions. They were left out in the cold. They only had 3 bids, while the SEC got 5 in there, a lot of 10-2 action. So I don't see any reward for doing the 9th game and going 9-3. The committee doesn't value that. We've seen that they just look at the loss column, love it or hate it. That's just how they operate. So, yeah, I think it's going to be it's going to be tougher to get SEC teams crammed into the bracket this year and going forward.
Yep, and then the Big Ten tries to sell the snow job by going, see, we told you need 24 to get more teams in, which just really gets more Big Ten teams in.
Oh, my gosh, yeah, I know. It's I think we have plenty with 12. I think most real diehard college football fans will tell you that. And you know why, Louis? Because to me, the playoff is November. I mean, we already have a playoff system. It's already built into the calendar, and that's why we flock to these stadiums and pay hundreds of dollars and pack in 110,000 into these games in October, November, because they're basically the playoff. They have playoff implications, eliminations. So if you take that away, if you go to 24, what's the incentive to even have these major games? I mean, it just puts the importance away from October, November, puts it into January. And I know some fans want that, the March Madness model, and make for a big postseason tournament. But let me tell you this: when's the last time you cared about a regular season college hoops game? They don't matter as much. So I think that what we have with college football is special, that it's in October, November, September, the key games on campus. So anyway, we could do a whole different show on playoff structure, but
we will. You and I are going to hang out several times in the coming weeks. We are going to do it on the playoff structure. I promise you.
Of course. Well, hey, talking playoff, the SEC is fully loaded again with candidates. Now, I'm saying they're only going to get 4 in there. They have twice as many with 8 that I think that could contend for a spot. The teams we already mentioned. Plus, I really like Tennessee and Alabama this year. And Bama lower than usual for me. It is strange putting them down on 8th in the conference, but they have more question marks than I've ever seen from a Bama team. Been doing this 15 years.
Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews, joining us on the D4 Land Services Hotline. Most guests of the Louis Bellina Show join us on the D4 Land Services Hotline. If you need your land fixed up, d4landservices.com. Land clearing, land excavated, d4landservices.com. You mentioned you like Marcel Reed, right? So where would you put him kind of in the QB rankings of the SEC? Do you have QB rankings for the SEC?
Yeah, I do, and you'll see that on the conference pages. I do an All-American team, I do all-conference teams, and then I've put in something called the all-transfer team, just because there's so many that I like to put out the best transfers at each position, each conference. But, yeah, we also have the player unit rankings, so position rankings. So for quarterback, that's really just, your starters, ranking your starters. So in the SEC, I've got Marcel Reed 4th, on the 4th team there. I have Trinidad Chambliss number 1 from Ole Miss. I love what he did last year for them, a D2 transfer. Really shined in January in the playoff bracket. Got him 1. I got Gunnar Stockton number 2, defending champion. I thought you hear these words a lot. They're buzzwords about clutch and winner. But really, if you look at it, his 4th quarter stat line was unbelievable. He is clutch. And then number 3, I've got Arch Manning, a guy who struggled in September, really grew as a first-year starting quarterback in October, November, and I think now that earns a number 3 spot. I've got Reed number 4, but really a competitive field, so to be 4th is pretty impressive for Reed.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like if you have a top 4 quarterback in the SEC, and it fits what you've said, and it's consistent, you're a college football playoff contender.
For sure. And then, of course, when you pair that with lines of scrimmages, too, where if you look at those rankings, I got A&M 6th and 7th in O-line and D-line. So while it's not top 5, you're still upper half, and those are a lot of younger, new faces that could grow into stars. So they got the whole package here to compete. I like what they did at receiver, bringing Isaiah Horton in from Alabama, starter off of that team, to kind of replace part of the loss of Concepcion at receiver. They've recruited really well. Their running backs are back. I mean, there's a lot to like. Of course, the coordinator transition, I think you lose a great one with Colin Klein going over to his alma mater at Kansas State, but I trust Elko here. So, yeah, it's definitely a playoff candidate.
The worst ranking, the lowest ranking, is A&M's linebackers at 12. Now, did you have the Sanford injury taken into account, or was he already factored into that when you put 12?
No, that was actually before the injury news there. And, I'm looking at it. You lose your 2 starters, and you have a 3-year starter with York gone. He was a tackle machine for them. And I do like the signing Ray Coney coming in from Tulsa. He was an all-conference guy, first team in the AAC, the American Conference. a lot of times those transfers coming up the ranks, those tend to hit pretty well. So, yeah. And then I also had Noah McHale in there just in case Stanford's spring injury does linger, which we talked about. So, yeah, I mean, it's such a crowded league, to be honest with you, that there are returning All-Americans, returning All-SECs at linebacker. So, yeah, a little bit lower on the radar there, but if there's a spot you can afford it, it's probably there. I look at quarterback, I look at receivers and lines of scrimmage. Those are the key parts so far.
Oh, notice I'm not arguing with you, right? Like I said,
sure.
12, I think there's a wide variable of what can happen, because if Coney is, I call it the coast-to-coast sideline, if he can fill that hole in the middle so that the defense can stop giving up those plus plays in the run game and he can cover the mid, that would be such an upgrade for the D. If Coney lives up to the expectation, I think linebacker actually could get a bit of an upgrade. Now, the injury does, because Sanford was your chaos factor machine. He just was a chaos factor machine. So I'm fascinated myself to see. And then the whole front seven for the defense, when you're going to replace like the entire D-line and then, okay, the linebacker question. But here's the thing. I look at the D-line development. They brought in Elijah Robinson, who was the top-ranked like D-line coach, if you go by coaching grade kind of stuff. There's reason to have expectation, but, man, there's a lot of change.
Yeah, there's definitely a reload happening there in the trenches. You lose Cassius Howe, SEC Defender of the Year, 11.5 sacks. I mean, the production off the edge is gone. Now, you do bring back one starter with Cersei, and then I love the Anto Saka move from Northwestern. He was all Big Ten. Like I said earlier, he's getting top 10 overall NFL draft pick buzz. I mean, that's a real first-rounder there. Former five-star DJ Hicks moves up into a full-time starting spot. So, like I said, I mean, at most schools, if I hear you're losing 7 of your 9 linemen on both sides, I toss that name out of the top 25. But they recruit well, they've reloaded well, I think. It's just a matter of who the next stars up are. Even a guy like C.J. Mims coming from North Carolina, he had a high 40 tackles last year from the interior spot. That's very productive from the nose tackle. So I like what they did, and they're going to remain one of the more aggressive. You know, I have a thing called negative play rate, and it's how often you're in the backfield. It's tackles for loss and sacks. Mike Elko is always up there. Last year, no different. They were number 3 in that category. I think they'll remain top 10, and it'll just be a really disruptive defense, as always.
Brett, quick timeout. Come back. Let's talk more, brother.
All right, sounds great.
Brett Ciancia is with Pick 6 Previews. He's hanging out with us. And again, this is the first of several visits we're going to have in the upcoming week. Talking A&M, SEC today. It's SEC Media Days. We'll take a look at the rest of the country next Monday, matter of fact, at 1 o'clock. Again, on the D4 Land Services hotline. And then in August, we'll do college football playoff predictions and things like that. We're just going to talk ball, man. It's over. It is not the off season anymore. It is the on season now. Again, Brett joining us on the D4 Land Services hotline. If you ever need a custom metal building, like from the ground up, it's just part of many things they do at D4 Land Services. Check them out online, d4landservices.com. It is the Louis Bellina Show, Monday on the Zone.
Activate. Spend your Aggie Football Saturdays, starting with the game day show, to the game, to the call-in show, and only on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
The Louis Bellina Show, Monday. The Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. They have free estimates, military and veteran discounts at CC Electric. We're rejoined. Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 Previews. Brett, congratulations are in order. I believe it was a week ago today that you received the Edward Aschoff Rising Star Award presented by the Football Writers Association of America, which just recognizes, well, rising stars. And that's for all the work you've done with Pick 6 Previews.
Yeah, thanks so much, Louis. Appreciate it. It's truly an honor. I've been able to serve on the FWA All-American Committee at the end of the year, picking the All-American teams with some of the best writers in the country. With FWA. So, yeah, just to be nominated and awarded the honor there was awesome. Edward was such a great example of a young writer, a lot of passion, a lot of research went into what he did, and I try and emulate a lot of that with my work. And, truly an honor to join so many other good winners, too. And, could not be more excited about it.
Yeah, I saw that, and I go, I know that dude. That's pretty awesome. The SEC, A&M, you mentioned you picked 6th. Overall in the SEC. at 13th in the country. And I always laugh. We live in a time in a world where if you don't make the CFP, the season is a failure. So if A&M finished 13th, there'd be hand wringing and people would be like, oh no, what's wrong? It's like 13th is not, it's one spot out. It would hurt like, hell, but 13th is good, but not in the world we live in now. In the SEC, Georgia won, and you got a tie for 2 between the Red River rivalry shootout rivals in OU and Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, starting up with Georgia, I think you have your defending champions. You have 14 starters back. They recruit, a top 5 clip every year. They're actually number 2 in my high school recruiting 5-year average, so that you have talent there. With Kirby Smart, he's got his defense. I mean, that's defense first as always. It's so many 5-stars packed into their front 7. Defensive line's deep. Linebacking core could be the best in the country. 2 All-Americans in their secondary. So that side of the ball, is championship caliber. It's really the offense. I have a couple questions. Receiver, is anybody going to emerge and really be a first-round caliber receiver out there? O-line, want to get more consistently a run push. But Gunnar Stockman, a winner. He's proven there at quarterback. And really, Georgia, they draw the easiest SEC schedule of anybody, as if they needed any extra help. They only draw 3 of the top 8. They're the only team in the conference that draws such a favorable schedule. So they're definitely going to be back in Atlanta for sure. We'll start there.
So are they in position to make a run? I mean, 2023 wasn't that long ago, but I just feel like I hear they're a national championship team every year, which is true, right? That's their talent level and expectation, but they haven't made a run in the past couple of years. They've been injured entering the postseason. Quarterback went down, and I don't know. It's so weird. 23 is not that long ago, but with Georgia football, why does it feel like it? Or is it just a me thing?
Yeah, well, it's been 3 whole seasons since they've won an actual playoff game, which is hard to believe. I mean, they won that national title in 22, and then they didn't make the bracket in 23, and then now it's been 2 straight first-round exits. So they are hungry to get back and now finally go deeper into January. And, I think they have the defense to do it. Now, the difference between being an SEC contender and then a national title contender at the very, very top, that's why I brought up I think they need a couple things to fix. They really need some dynamic, do-it-all receiver threats to emerge. They only bring 1 of their top 5 receivers back. They've recruited well. I mean, there's 5 stars on paper, but you're just wondering, is somebody going to emerge over there and be a real game changer that they can build the offense around? It used to be their tight ends, and now you just need a couple surefire receivers to emerge. Otherwise, it's a perfect roster. I mean, it's in the top 10 of all my other position unit rankings besides receivers. So they're fully loaded again. And if you're an SEC contender, that puts you into playoff contention, obviously.
Yeah, you got them 1 O-line, 2 D-line, 1 linebacker, 2 DB, 2 at quarterback, 4 at running back, which that's almost stunning. Running back's only 4 for Georgia. Holy cow. And then you already pointed out wide receivers a 9. That's like blinking red lights right there.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, within that context, that's the weakness. And like I said, somebody will emerge. It's a question until somebody does. They signed a 6'6" Caden Prothero coming in. He's a top 250 guy. A couple top 100 guys. A 5-star Taylor Taylor coming in. So somebody's going to emerge. It's just a matter of who and how quickly. Otherwise, I feel good with Georgia.
So Oklahoma, Texas tied for 2. And if you're buying OU, that means you're buying Mateer.
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I'm buying that defense. I mean, that was incredible by Brent Venables last year. I call it a masterpiece. They were in the backfield on 15% of plays. That's number 1 in the country in that negative play rate I talked about, just living in the backfield. And most of that defense returns, too. I was shocked to see this. 7 starting defenders are back. That's 4 All-SEC guys, 2 more that made the All-Freshman, All-American team. There's a lot of talent on their defense. So I know what's on that side. For offense, I'm kind of gambling on a couple items here. I think that you're going to get a second-year bonus from their coordinator, Ben Arbuckle. He's a younger guy, but he's been sharp everywhere designing these pass-heavy offenses. I think a second year for him at Oklahoma is huge. Get John Mateer back and healthy. Remember, he busted his hand halfway through the season, really handcuffed the offense. So I think with him healthy, a second year in the system, the offensive line was freshman-heavy last year. They're back as sophomores. So it's all pointing up for the offense. And altogether, I think it'll be them versus Georgia in Atlanta for the SEC title game.
Ooh, so the tiebreaker between OU Texas, you got going OU. So that means OU beats Texas. Well, it doesn't have to mean that exactly. Let's go to the Texas and the Longhorns. You have them tied for 2. I look at their roster, and I think it's 40, 45 mil well spent.
Yeah, I mean, they have the biggest budget out there, and they don't mind telling you about it. And yeah, but like my thing with Texas, I see them as a national title pick by a lot of folks, or top 4. They need to prove it a little bit to me. I know that they came on strong at the end of the season last year, but if you look back at some of their games, there were some survival games on punt returns and last-second scores
Kentucky
against some of the conference's worst teams. Yeah, Kentucky by 3, Mississippi State by a late touchdown, Vanderbilt by 3. It's a ranked impressive win, but still tight margin. Then they got blown off the field against Georgia. So they still have some room to grow, and I put them all the way up at 7th because of their great transfer haul, bringing in some of the top running backs and Cam Coleman, the top receiver in the portal. So they put more pieces around Arch Manning. I really liked how Arch Manning developed in the second half of the season. So there's a lot there. Defense, they recruit really well, and got Colin Simmons off the edge. He's an All-American pick. So, yeah, I mean, they're definitely a player to Oklahoma. I just know what I have a little bit more with Oklahoma. They proved it all season last year defensively.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, the difference in the two teams, because with Texas, it's their offense that's pretty much guaranteed, but defense a question mark. And with Oklahoma, their defense is one of the top 3 units in the country, but their offense is their question mark. They're if you put the OUD with the Texas offense, I think you have your national champs.
Yeah, there you go, for sure. Yeah, a couple questions I've got there. Offensive line, their run push was lacking the last couple seasons. Finished outside the top 80 in run push. So they need to get more consistent on the O-line. They need to have that November, December version of Arch Manning all season, not the September version. I really like what they upgraded at receiver, though. I mean, who are you going to cover here? Who are you going to double? You can't double any of them now. You got Cam Coleman, Ryan Wingo, another fleet of 5-stars and top 100 guys. So I like what they did there. Running back duo could be the best in the country, or a top 5 unit there. So yeah, there's a lot of strong points, but it's more, I got to see it. They got to prove it against really a championship caliber team.
No, I think that's a very fair. I think everyone needs to prove it if you're picking them to do something they haven't. I just think the Cam Coleman transfer purchase was the insurance for Arch Manning. I think he was the insurance purchase. Like, he doesn't have to struggle now. Like, when in doubt, just throw it at him. It's the one thing Auburn never realized. Like, Auburn had no quarterback. Throw it in his zip code, dude, and they wouldn't do it. I think Arch is smart enough to understand that. And like you said, if you don't want to throw it at him, you got Wingo on the other side. So I just felt like when they got Cam Coleman, they bought Arch the insurance you needed.
Yeah, I agree with you. You look at the receiver landscape across the country, it's definitely, everyone would say Jeremiah Smith, number 1. I would go Malachi Toney in the slot. He's a different type of player, but like kind of your do-it-all X factor in the slot. But then if you're looking for the number 2 outside receiver, I'd probably go Coleman. I mean, he's unbelievable. Brings a big catch radius, all the things you'd like. So I agree with you. If you go double Coleman, okay, Ryan Wingo, another former 5-stars, wide open, all SEC guy. So Emmett Mosley's back. You got McCutcheon, a top 100 guy. 2 more 5-star freshmen with Lockett and Bishop. It's fully loaded. So this is the year for Stark to cash in down there.
Do you have a team? Revisit Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews. He joined us on the D4 Land Services hotline. Do you have a team from the bottom half of the league that could be a breakout contender?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it counts for this category, but Tennessee, they finished 9th in the SEC last year. That's the bottom half, but I've got them moving all the way up to number 15 nationally. I really like what Tennessee brings back. They bring back 8 starters off of a 40-point-per-game offense. They are replacing a quarterback with Joey Aguilar leaving, and it's 2 young guys. You got a former top 200 kid with George McIntyre going up against Faison Brandon, a 5-star. So while we don't know who will emerge, I know that Josh Heupel has quite a track record in quarterback development. He'll get somebody up to speed. They're going to be awesome on offense. And then the big reason why I'm moving them up so much is their defense. They hired Jim Knowles, one of the best defensive minds in the country. He was able to build top defenses at Duke, at Oklahoma State, Ohio State for the national title. So it does take a little bit of time to get that scheme going for him, but I think there's enough talent there to get it from going right from the first snap. So very complete team. No one's talking about Tennessee, but get them in that playoff radar a little bit.
Okay, what's funny, I didn't pick them for breakout because, again, without the quarterback, you're right about hype on quarterbacks, but they did make my list of the least talked about team in the offseason was Tennessee, especially when you consider they're kind of a heritage program, right? Like, everybody talks about Tennessee. They're SEC blue blood. Every year, SEC is in contention. Tennessee's in contention for 10 games. They made my least talked about team of the offseason.
Yeah. And think of last year, they were probably the most talked about with the whole Nico drama at quarterback and holding them hostage at spring camp for the contract dispute. Like, they were a top storyline last summer. Then they went and got Joey Aguilar from the portal. It was really a portal trade with UCLA, if you think of it that way. They were very talked about last year. Yeah, flying under the radar. And you know who else, funny enough, I'll put in the same category of least talked about is Georgia. I mean, I feel like no one's even talking about them. All the attention's about Texas's transfers, and you got the Kiffin thread through Ole Miss and LSU. It's like Georgia's, they've won, 2 out of 3 of the last titles, and so no one's talking there. Yeah, Georgia, Tennessee, even Auburn. I'm really high on Auburn this year. I've got them 25th in the country, despite the coaching transition. I like what they brought in from their offense from USF. It's really the whole package. It's quarterback, receivers, linemen. They got everybody coming up from a top 5 USF offense. So, yeah, just going all over the place here, but those are some teams I'm looking at on the outside.
No. I love that stuff because I feel like in the SEC, and I know you need to roll. I know in the SEC, one team always breaks out, 2 teams always disappoint. You know, it's kind of the nature of the beast in this thing. But there's always one team that breaks out. You don't know who it is, too. It's really hard to predict and project. I don't know. The move to 16 may have limited that potential more, but there's always a team you don't see. Maybe it's Auburn who gets to 9. Maybe they get to 10. I don't know. Hey, Brett, I'll visit with you again next Monday. We'll take a look at the rest of college football. Thank you. I appreciate it. I love the knowledge, dude. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks for having me anytime. And, yeah, we'll talk again Monday. A lot to cover, so appreciate it.
Be awesome, dude. Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 Previews, joining us on the D4 Land Services Hotline. And again, we're going to visit a good handful of more times in upcoming weeks. I wanted to talk A&M SEC because it is SEC Media Days, and he joins us on the D4 Land Services Hotline. If you ever need your land fixed up, land cleared, land excavated, D4LandServices.com. Go get all the info you need to know. But they do more than just that. Forestry, mulching, pond construction, D4LandServices.com. This is the Louis Bellina Show, Monday on The Zone.
Listen to The Zone on the Zone app. Download the app. Yeah. Thanks to Loyalty Plumbing. The pros at Loyalty Plumbing are ready to serve you, Aggie Land.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Visit them. LoyaltyPlumbingLLC.net.
The Louis Bellina Show. It is still Monday. Almost not quite done from inside the Charles Schwab studio. Low cost, full service, best of all local. That is Schwab. Visit Mark Sim. He's our local Schwab agent representative. He is the guy that is about us. You and I, Bryan, College Station, Brazos Valley. Live here, eat here, sleep here. He goes to the games too. Find him online, schwab.com/College Station. Charles Schwab and Company Incorporated, member SIPC. I want to jump into the rest of the world of sports. Look, it's all SEC all week long. SEC Media Days have begun. Today, opening day, Greg Sankey, we did a listen-in with him at 12. State of the Union address. Missouri, Oklahoma, Kentucky, and Tennessee are day one. And they, A&M squares off against all of them. Tomorrow is Auburn, Georgia, South Carolina, Vanderbilt. Aggies do square off against South Carolina. But today, big day one if you're an Aggie fan. I do want to hit the rest of the world of sports because it was a pretty epic. I don't know how many people, what all sports you're into. You had the World Cup. Spain, G called it. Coach G, A&M legend. He picked Spain, and it was 1-0 in extra time. It was incredible. You had the Open Championship. Wasn't as exciting as I hoped for. I love the Open Championship. But for me, Louis Bellina sports fan, what were you looking at? Well, thank you for asking. The Astros out of the All-Star break absolutely face-planted. They got swept by Baltimore. And it wasn't a good kind of sweep, which, by the way, that's one of the dumbest things I could say. There's no such thing as a good kind of sweep. It was just ugly, man. They lose Friday, 3-2. Bullpen blows the game. Look, to be fair, the offense was a problem Friday. The offense was a problem Saturday, but they had their chances, but the bullpen was awful. They got 2 great starts Friday, Saturday. Bullpen was awful. Offense was inept. So Friday, Lambeau goes. Pete Lambert, 6-1. Brian King, who prior to the All-Star break, Brian King had lost 2 straight. Absolute nightmare. I got a stat for Brian King that prior to like the All-Star break, he'd given up like 1-2 home runs all year. He's given up 4 home. In other words, there's zero reason to put him out there, but the Astros don't have options. So they don't adjust. They can't do anything with trends. He was pitching the 8th to try and get it to Hader. This is a 2-1 game, end of 7. They bring in Brian King, an inning, 2 runs. Astros lose 3-2. Bullpen blows the game in the 8th. Pete Lambeau, brilliant game. Loss. The worst loss of the year was probably Saturday. Astros lose 4-2 and 11. Spencer Arrighetti, 5-1. Walks were way too. He only gave up a hit. Walk 4. Pitch count was high, but that's what I mean about managing your pitcher. 85 pitches. Maybe you could have got another inning out of him, but why? 5-1 run, 6 Ks. Got him out clean. Blue ball 2 scoreless. So you're brilliant at this point. But the offense, I already said, was such an issue in the first 2 games also. But no. They threw Hader early. Brian Abreu with a scoreless. Thank you, brother. But Baltimore scores top of 10. The Astros actually tied in the 10th, but let me share a story with you. We're tied in the 10th, and the Astros still had the bases loaded, nobody out to win. And I know they struggled, and the Astros off, but it's bases loaded, nobody out. Nope. And they couldn't get it. I mean, so they lost the game there. They had a base running error. It was kind of Keystone Cop-ish at times. And then bullpen gives up. So the bullpen gave up a run in the 10th. Offense doesn't win the game with bases loaded, no outs in the bottom of the 10th. And then the bullpen gives up 2 in the 11th. So they lose 4-2 with 3 runs given up by the bullpen in extras. But the offense had the chance to win it in the bottom of the 10th. So painful. Oh. Let me throw a cherry on top of that story. In that game, Pena left, injury. Walker left, injury. Now, neither one went on the IL, but still. Then Sunday, 5-2. Hunter Brown, his first 3 starts back from the IL looked like Hunter Brown. His last 3 starts back, he hasn't been very good. 4 2/3, 4 earned. Brian King continues. He was setup guy. It's very telling they brought him in the 5th in this one. Christian Javier was fabulous in relief and inning 2 Ks. Is bad. And they only scored 2 runs. So in regulation this weekend, the Astros, in regulation, they scored 2 runs, 1 run, and 2 runs. 5 runs total in regulation. And they got swept by Baltimore coming out of the All-Star break. So now, because the wild card was kind of their best, they were only a game and a half back, but Boston's won 12 straight. So now the Astros are 4.5 back in the wild card, having to chase Minnesota, Baltimore, Seattle. Really, they're chasing Boston, who's now smoking red hot, Cleveland and New York. 3 games in, my whole world's changed in perspective. Well, they have to crawl over 3 teams and catch Boston or Cleveland or New York. Nah, you can't catch New York. That's deep back. That's like 9 back of them. So it'd be Cleveland, Boston for one of those 2 wild card spots, or Seattle, Baltimore. I don't know. It's a big ask at this point. And in the West, which let's be fair, if you play 500 ball, the Astros are 47-54 now. 7 games below 500. The only team above 500 in the West are the Rangers, who are 50-49. Seattle, according to Sportsline, is projected still to win the West with 83 wins. That's a game above 500. Anything is possible. You know what the sign of a bad team is? Where they can lose in a different way every night. And that's what the problem is with the Astros. They don't have a strength that can limit their loss ability. Like, their starting pitching is so good that you can never see them losing 3 straight or 2 straight. Nope, their starting pitching, where even Hunter Brown gets shellacked, Arrighetti pitcher of the month to not the pitcher of the month. Their bullpen is just throw a dart, except for Hader. And their offense, one weekend yes, one weekend no. They can lose in all 3 phases of the game. That's the definition of a bad team. Where, I don't want to say they invent ways to lose, but they can lose in every phase of the game. On any given night, any one of those 3 can lose the game. That's a bad team. Astros are now 3-7 in their last 10 and lost 4 straight. 7 games below 500. 4 games back in the West. 4.5 in the wild card. Seattle's projected to win 83. Texas is projected to win 81. And Houston now, Sportsline projected to win 77 games. It's ugly out there. Over the weekend, Rangers were in Atlanta. Got pounded 15-1 on Friday night. Saturday, they evened the series 7-6. Wyatt Langford's been on a heater. I know Rusty Burson's probably wearing his Wyatt Langford jersey. And then Sunday, Atlanta took the series 8-5. Rangers got no pitching this weekend. Quantrill started Friday, 4 6 on 10 hits. Gore started. He got the win, but it was 5 2/3, 5 earned. And then Evalde got shelled 4 4 on Sunday. Did not get a quality start over the weekend. Lost 2 out of 3. But being a game above 500 makes you a stud in the AL West. But the Astros, who are trying to trade in contention, Arrighetti, pitcher of the month, awful the next month. Hunter Brown, first 3 starts, looked like Hunter Brown. Last 3 starts, ooh boy. They just have nothing that's a strength. They have nothing they can count on. And that's the problem. They can lose all 3 phases of the game, can cost them any game. And they do so many little things wrong. They're trying to win despite themselves sometimes. I'll be back. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to get it out of my system. I apologize for spitting my mind into the universe, but being an Astros fan this year is manic, roller coaster, and painful at all times. This is the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. It is the Louis Bellina Show. I'm in Astro pain. I apologize. Monday on the Zone.
The Brazos Valley's home for champions with March Madness, the Super Bowl, and the College World Series. The Zone. 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.